Rudolf Hess did not die in fire. He did not die by poison. And he did not die in the chaos of war. He died alone, in silence, behind locked doors 42 years, after the Third Reich collapsed. Rudolf Hess, a loyal follower from the earliest days of the Nazi Party. Hess was not known for charisma or military skill, but for absolute devotion. He believed in Hitler, not as a politician, but as a figure of destiny. And that devotion led him to one of the strangest acts of the entire war. In May 1940, 1 year before Germany's defeat, Hess shocked the world by flying solo to Scotland on a secret mission to negotiate peace with Britain. The mission failed. He was immediately arrested and spent the rest of the war in British custody. By the time Nazi Germany collapsed at the Nuremberg trials, Hess stood alongside the surviving Nazi leadership. He appeared detached, distant, sometimes confused. He claimed memory loss. Some believed it was real. Others believed it was an act. The tribunal was unconvinced. Rudolf Hess was found guilty of crimes against peace and sentenced to life imprisonment. He would never be free again. In 1947, Hess was transferred to Spandau prison in West Berlin, a massive, cold structure designed to hold hundreds of inmates. Over time, the other convicted Nazi leaders were released or died. One by one, the prison emptied, until only one prisoner remained, Rudolf Hess. By the mid-1960s, Spandau prison built for 100 was, guarding a single elderly man. For Allied powers, the United States, Britain, France, and the Soviet Union took turns overseeing him. Every movement was monitored, every routine documented. Hess became known as the loneliest prisoner in the world. Decades passed. Outside the prison walls, the world changed. Germany rebuilt. The Cold War rose and fell. New generations were born who knew Nazism only from history books. But Hess remained. He gardened. He read. He walked the prison yard under watchful eyes. He complained of illness. He petitioned for release, always denied, largely due to Soviet opposition. To some, he was a forgotten relic. To others, a symbol. To a few, a potential secret keeper. Hess lived long enough for rumors to grow around him. What did he know? What was the real purpose of his 1941 flight? Had he been silenced deliberately by imprisonment? No definitive answers ever came. On August 17, 1987, Rudolf Hess was 93 years old. That afternoon, he was in a small garden house within the prison grounds, a routine privilege. Guards later reported that when they checked on him, they found Hess unresponsive. He was pronounced dead shortly afterward. The official cause: suicide by hanging. According to the report, Hess had used an electrical cord tied to a window latch. Just like that, the last surviving Nazi leader, sentenced at Nuremberg, was gone. But almost immediately, questions surfaced. Hess was elderly, frail, and under constant supervision. Could he have physically carried out the act alone? Why was the cord not part of the standard furnishings? Why were some details of the investigation kept classified? His family rejected the suicide verdict outright. They claimed Hess had been murdered. Theories spread quickly. Some argued that Hess was killed to prevent his release, which had been discussed in his final years. Others suggested intelligence agencies feared he might reveal secrets about wartime negotiations or Nazi leadership. Still others insisted the official version was corrected after decades of isolation. Hess had finally chosen death. Historians remained divided. British and Allied investigations concluded there was no evidence of foul play. Medical examiners upheld the suicide ruling. Official documents supported the narrative. Yet, the doubts never fully disappeared. Unlike Hitler, Himmler, Goebbels, or Göring, Hess did not die in the immediate aftermath of defeat. He outlived them all by decades. His death did not bring closure. It reopened questions history could not easily answer. Within weeks of his death, Spandau prison was demolished. The structure was torn down, its materials scattered, its ground repurposed deliberately to prevent it from becoming a shrine. Even in death, Hess remained dangerous to memory. Rudolf Hess was buried quietly. No grand announcement, no ceremony. A man who once stood at Hitler's side faded into uncertainty. And that uncertainty is his legacy. Unlike the other Nazi leaders, whose endings were final and visible, Hess left behind ambiguity, His death did not shock through violence, it unsettled through doubt. Was it despair? Was it fear? Or was it silence imposed too late? History offers no final answer. Rudolf Hess entered prison as a symbol of blind loyalty. He left it as a question mark, and in that mystery lies a final truth about the Nazi leadership. Even when the war ended, even when justice was delivered, the shadows they cast did not simply disappear. Some lingered waiting. Unresolved, they ruled through terror. They commanded armies, shaped nations, and decided who lived and who died. Their words moved millions. Their orders erased entire cities. For a time, it seemed as if nothing could stop them, but in the end, none of it saved them. The Third Reich promised 1,000 years of dominance. It lasted 12. What followed was not a heroic downfall, not a noble last stand, but a series of desperate endings that revealed the truth behind absolute power. Adolf Hitler, the self-proclaimed master of destiny, died underground alone, hiding from the very war he started. He did not face his enemies. He did not face justice. He ended his life in a bunker as his empire collapsed above him. Heinrich Himmler, the architect of mass murder, did not defend his ideology when it mattered. He ran, disguised, humiliated, and afraid. He chose poison over accountability, dying minutes after capture, without a word spoken in defense of his actions. Joseph Goebbels, the man who convinced a nation to believe lies, carried those lies into his final act. Unable to imagine a world without Nazi power, he murdered his own children before ending his life, turning ideology into tragedy and loyalty into horror. Hermann G. Rhein, once the symbol of Nazi luxury and arrogance, stood trial before the world and was judged. Yet, even then, he could not accept the verdict. Hours before execution, he escaped the gallows with poison, proving that the courage he demanded of others was never his own. And Rudolf Hess, the loyal follower who outlived them all, spent decades in isolation, locked away from the world he helped destroy. His death came quietly, wrapped in mystery, leaving behind questions rather than closure. Different men, different endings, the same truth. Power did not protect them. Their titles vanished the moment their armies fell. Their ideologies collapsed the instant reality arrived. When the cheering stopped and the flags came down, they were no longer gods or leaders. They were just men, facing consequences they had spent years denying. This is the final irony of tyranny. The Nazi regime was built on fear of punishment, fear of enemies, fear of difference. It ruled by convincing millions that obedience was survival. But when the system collapsed, fear turned inward. The same men who preached strength panicked. The same men who demanded sacrifice chose escape. The same men who spoke of honor avoided judgment. They did not die as legends. They died as warnings. History remembers their crimes, not their speeches. Their victims, not their propaganda. Their endings, not their promises. And those endings matter, because they reveal something essential about power built on terror. It is fragile. It cannot survive truth. It cannot withstand accountability, and it always collapses under its own weight. The Nazi leaders believed they controlled history. Instead, history exposed them. Their deaths were not victories. They were failures of morality, of courage, of humanity. No amount of authority could change that. No uniform could hide it. No ideology could justify it. In the ruins of Europe, as the world counted the dead and uncovered the truth, one lesson became clear. Tyranny does not end in glory. It ends in fear, silence, and shame. And while justice did not reach all of them in the same way, none escaped the consequences of what they had done. Whether through trial, suicide, or decades of imprisonment, the illusion of invincibility was destroyed. This is why their stories are remembered, not to glorify them, but to expose them. Because remembering the end matters just as much as remembering the crimes. They ruled through terror, but in the end, terror ruled them, and history made sure the world would never forget how absolute power truly ends. History never forgets, and neither should you. Adds a chilling, thoughtful layer. Works well for long-form endings or darker narrative videos.